in the night of the presidential election in 2012, it became clear that Barack Obama was going to prevail. As state after state was called for Mr. Obama, the supporters gathered at Mitt Romney's headquarters in Massachusetts. Needless to say, were a little downcast and exhausted, disappointed. They had worked so hard for so long in a cause that they fervently believed in. And yet, it was clear from all the news forecasts that it was not going their way. As the hours drug on and the news reporters and the people gathered in the room all wondered, where's Mitt Romney? Why is he not coming down to give a speech, to talk to the people who have supported him, both in the room and across the nation and the world? And as all the television commenters kept reporting, it was being delayed. Well, it came to find out that Mitt Romney had only written a victory speech. He had not written a concession speech. So his vision, his understanding had been slightly skewed because he was sure he was going to win. He had watched the polls from Fox News and the Republican Party, and they all showed him ahead. He was certain that he was going to prevail on election night. And yet that didn't turn out to be true. So his aides all scrambled, and the nation all waited while they wrote a concession speech. Reminds me of this saying, we do not see the things as they are. We see them as we are. And we are all guilty of that. There's no way to avoid it in our human nature. We don't see clearly. We see through our own lens, through our own perception, from the people we surround ourselves with, from literally the color of the lenses of our consciousness. It's how we see life. But I share this story with you about Mitt Romney because I think it illustrates an important point. Mitt Romney only looked at the world through the eyes of people who agreed with them. And do we do the same thing? Do we dismiss other faiths, other religion, other people, because we think somehow that they're wrong, that they somehow don't have, quote unquote, the truth? Well, Emerson said way back in the 1800s that every religion that is now considered to be false at one time was considered true. At one time it was the universal truth. And my favorite quote is, everything old is new again. So here we are in a new thought church, understanding this from a new perspective, but really what we're doing is looking at ancient wisdom through our own lens and through our own consciousness and seeing how that influences. But it brings up another question for me too. We teach the power of visualization here. We teach you to visualize your life magnificent, to visualize your good at every moment, to visualize yourself whole and healthy. So if Mitt Romney was only visualizing victory, how come it didn't happen for him? If he was only visualizing success, how come that same visualization turned out not to be true? Can our teachings then be false? Heresy. Can our teachings be false? We talked a couple weeks ago when I just got back about the steps to manifestation. And I laid out my personal vision that we've shared in the Absolute Abundance class about what it takes to manifest in the physical world. And the first is to name and to claim your dream, to be bold and to state it out loud. I will be this. I will do this. I am a divine expression of God. I am abundance. I am whole. Boldly claim your dream. and then take concrete steps towards it. I would love to claim that I am healthy and whole and complete and still be able to eat nothing but cupcakes and Diet Coke. But life just doesn't work that way for me. I still have to take my 10,000 steps a day just to maintain, right? I was laughing at myself recently. I came here to work, and I was working in the sanctuary with Brian as we were building this new platform. And I was up and down the stairs and back downstairs and upstairs, and I had left my Fitbit at home. And I was like, oh no, but then all those steps don't count. Like somehow the recording of it is all that matters, not the doing of it. We don't see things as they are. We see them as we are. So we get attached to the things on the outside. So taking concrete steps, literally steps, towards your goal. To share your journey, to talk about it with other people, to make sure that everyone knows what you're doing, but to be careful who you share it with. Do not cast your pearls before swine. Right? That adage from the Bible is very important for us to stay on our journey, to stay focused on what it is that we are manifesting, to share it with people who will support our dreams, not shoot it down, to share it with people who will offer us opportunities, not derision, and then to be open to how it's going to show up. And this is where I think we all could use some practice. Because we're taught and we learn to be very, very clear about visualization. Be specific, be bold, be brave. And when life doesn't show up, when our good doesn't show up exactly like we envisioned it, we sometimes think that it's not showing up. In today's absolute word, it was put so perfectly. The farmer kept drilling or digging a well, and so he'd move on when he didn't strike water. And again until someone asked him to go back to the same spot and to dig deeper. When he dug deeper, he found what he had affirmed. And how often is it that we do that? We start a new job or a new relationship or a new spiritual practice, and we get a certain way into it and go, oh, this isn't working. And we go and we try something else. Rather than digging deeper into the practice, to going through the difficult parts of it and keeping focused on what the original goal was. Look at President Jimmy Carter. Right? He experienced what could be described as a crushing defeat. Right? He was president during a crisis that had been unparalleled in our nation. Hostages kept for 300 and something days, I forget the exact number, but it was a long time. A long time. The nation was riveted by it, and he ran for re-election during that crisis and lost to Ronald Reagan. And pundits wrote him off as ineffectual, not powerful enough, weak, all those things. And he left the White House and went back to his life. He had a goal when he ran for president, I assume, to be a positive force for change for our nation and the world. I can't imagine anyone running for president for any other reason. Who would sit through what you have to sit through to become president if you didn't have a huge desire to make a change, a positive change in the world? Now, there may be very many different versions of it, but imagine running for president right now in this Twitter age and the Donald Trump age and having to be called all those names just to win your party's nomination. Who subjects themselves to that? Without, well, crazy people, right? How about highly motivated people? Right? Who subjects themselves to anything we do that we are passionate about without being a little bit crazy, without being a little bit off-center? A small group of dedicated people is the only people who change the world. The world needs more crazy people to say, no, I will not take it as it is anymore, right? To step out and say, this cannot stay the same. And to be bold. So Jimmy Carter went home to Plains, Georgia, and he rebuilt his life and his home, and he started doing the work that he has always done. He started making a difference in people's lives. He started teaching Sunday school at his church again. He started building houses for humanity. And he took out a hammer and started putting nails into wood. He injected himself into international crises when he was not invited. Because he knew that he was being called to be something, to be a voice for peace, a voice for something different. And people again called him crazy, and they called him, the worst president ever. And he kept doing his work. He kept, step by step, being what he had always wanted to be, whether it was president or not. He fulfilled his goal to change the world. And he did make a difference in the Haitian crisis and in other international crises. And millions of people have joined him in building houses for poor people all around the world. He still, as he battles his own health issues right now, continues to teach Sunday school, to teach how to love. He quit his religion, though. He resigned because of their treatment of women. He quit and resigned from the Southern Baptist Council because he could not abide how they treated women as second-class citizens. But he stayed true to himself and to his teachings. All presidential candidates, all of them, are exceptional people. Just like you and me. We're all exceptional people who do some ridiculous things. Right? Who do some absolutely ridiculous things in our lives. They do it in front of millions of cameras, right, or thousands of cameras and on millions of TV screens. But again, I think we need that kind of crazy. The United States has been blessed with a lot of people who wanted to be of service to this country, but who never were elected to political office. So you don't have to win to affect the change. You don't even have to run to be the change in the world. I mean, look at Susan B. Anthony. Oh, excuse me, I'll do this quote first, because it's in this order. This is from Napoleon Hill in his Think and Grow Rich. When defeat comes, accept it as a signal that your plans are not sound. Rebuild those plans and set sail once more to your coveted goal. So if stopping at 15 feet didn't strike water, then stop and go, oh, I have to go deeper. To go deeper towards the core goal. The goal, if we look in the presidential election, is to make the United States a better place and the world a better place. Well, do you have to be president to do that? Absolutely not. No. In fact, so many people do it without ever being president. Susan B. Anthony never got to cast a vote in her life. No, I take that back. She did cast one vote and she was arrested for it. So it didn't count. They nullified it. But without her work, without her dedication to the truth principle, the women running for president today couldn't be doing it. She did not live long enough to see it. But what she did, and the goals she held fast to, has changed the world for everyone, for this nation, for everyone sitting in it. Right? Everyone sitting here. Thoreau, Henry David Thoreau, stood up at Harvard Divinity School and gave an address that people walked out on. Right? He was so radical that all the professors got up, turned their backs on him, and walked out of the hall because he had the nerve to say that we are all divine. In the mid-19th century, He said what we say every Sunday here. We stand on his shoulders. Now, he was a Unitarian minister, and he quit being a Unitarian minister because it was too limiting. Right? But he did not quit doing his job. His essays and his writing transformed this nation, started the transcendental movement, and then started the New Thought movement, sparked it all. And we stand on the shoulders of his intellect, his passion, and his bravery. Eleanor Roosevelt, once her husband was out of office, continued to do work. And even into the 1960s, she sat on President Kennedy's Council for Women's Affairs, still affecting change in her life without ever having an elected office, but having something to do about changing the nature of the world. Martin Luther King Jr. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. All of these people have changed the course of American history, have changed the course of every one of our lives. We would not be sitting here or talking about any of these things that we're talking about in this presidential cycle if all these people hadn't stayed true to their core principles and dug deep to fulfill their dream. I have a dream, and I share it. I'm bold. He took concrete steps towards it and had to be open to how it would manifest. For most of those people have talked about their dreams manifested after their time here on the planet. But in little and small ways, all of our dreams manifest in the moment. In the second we change, so do they. King's mentor, guide, Mahatma Gandhi, saw unbelievable defeats, unbelievable violence during his campaign to free the people of India. He was defeated almost daily, and yet we all think of him as a success, as a role model. How do you measure success? By love? By what you're willing to give to the one who seems to be oppressing you, who seems to be your enemy, who seems to be against you? King and Gandhi exemplified that for us all. So how do we do it? How do we, in our daily lives, in our interactions, fulfill our dreams so that we can become like these amazing, amazing people? Mother Teresa said, "We do not do great things, but we can do small things with great love." I'd ask you to think about this for a moment. I guess, I put money on it, that for each and every one of you sitting here today, there was someone in your life who showered you with such love and affection, who showered you with such care when you needed it most, that that person and that interaction forever changed your life. Think about that person right now, and whatever little thing they did for you with great love. Right? That moment of tenderness shown to you without any expectation of something in return. Your job now is to give that same love and affection out into the world, as many places as you possibly can, with as much passion and as much dedication as you can summon, to be that same person for someone else, for many other people, to be love. How do you measure success? by your tenacity, by your steadfastness, by your love. You make a difference. And I still say, reach, aim high, reach for the stars, shoot for the moon. There is nothing enlightened about playing small. But do so with great love and letting go of the expectation that it's going to turn out exactly like you think it's going to turn out. You may never see or know the end result of your gift of love, of your passion for wholeness. But it goes on beyond you. It goes on past your life. This is the call for all of us. I don't know what Mitt Romney is going to do with the rest of his life. I don't know what he's doing right now. But perhaps he is digging down slowly, deeper and deeper into his goal of being a positive force for this world. Shouldn't we all be doing that? Can't we all choose to do that today? This is the Great Commission. This is the Great Commission. To be the force of change by being love in the world. Let's take that to our time of meditation.